Well, hello everyone. Thank you for having me here. My name is Jessica Ocampo. I'm currently a third-year medical student at Loyola University, Stritch School of Medicine. And I just wanted to congratulate you guys for being here. I think you are doing a great job taking an initiative, learning about the healthcare field. There definitely is a need for more Latino physicians in the workforce. You have already had a great step in joining the Social Justice Just Healing Conference. I remember I did this my first year of medical school, and so I'm happy to be here again and present for you. So I'll tell you a little bit about my career and journey into medicine, and just to let you know that there's no right or wrong way to get there. Whatever path you choose to take, you'll ultimately make the right decision. And in order to matriculate into medical school, one needs to, of course, have graduated high school, taken some pre-health classes in college, graduated college, taken admissions test, and then go on into medical school. And even then, you can also choose to do community college before going to university to save money, and you can also definitely take time off after having graduated college to attend medical school. So there's the paths to getting into medical school are endless, and you can completely change careers too. If you were teaching before and then you decide to go into medical school, that's always an option too. So I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I'm first generation college graduate. My parents came from Mexico without authorizations around the 70s or 80s, and so they came here in pursuit of the American dream, and they worked hard. They started their life from scratch, coming into a foreign country, and I really admired how hard and dedicated they were into sustaining their family and making sure that their kids were able to obtain an education and better themselves. So why medicine? I didn't have anyone in my family that was a doctor or a nurse, and so my first exposure to medicine was actually just through my pediatrician. I enjoyed how he made my mom feel reassured whenever we were sick, and at the end of the day, I always felt better after seeing him. And so that was my basic understanding at age 6 years old, and that was the plan, to be a pediatrician when I grew up. How I was going to get there, I didn't know at the time, but I just knew I needed to work hard just like my parents, and eventually I'd get there. So with that said, I grew up in Cicero, Illinois, which is a predominantly Hispanic Latino town, and I went to high school at Morton East. Again, my high school, mostly students looked like me. They were Hispanic Latino. And one of the things that I remember in high school was that there was a daycare. And I'm not sure if that was a good thing or a bad thing, but I knew that I didn't really want to participate in the daycare as much as I loved kids, wanting to be a pediatrician, but not in high school. And so what I did is I joined extracurricular activities in school, joined some sports, stayed active in after-school programs to kind of stay out of trouble, because there were also a lot of gangs and violence prevalent in my high school. And I continued to work hard, and one of my teachers in geometry class, she noticed that I had potential to kind of do well for myself and go on to college. And she gave me the extra push I needed to step outside of my comfort zone and go until my limits. And so she told me that if I can take a summer school, I'd be able to take advanced algebra over the summer, pre-calculus my junior year, and then senior year take calculus, take the AP exam, and qualify for college credit. At first, I was very hesitant. I didn't want to go to summer school, but I mean, who does? So she convinced me. She told me there's going to be air conditioning, and I was okay, fine, I'll go to summer school. And honestly, it was one of the best decisions I have ever made. I didn't realize that such a small decision would make such a big impact in my life in college. So I took the AP exam. I ended up getting college credit, but it was only partial credit. I still needed to take calculus in college, but it was so much easier having taken it in high school. And it actually boosted up my GPA and gave me the confidence I needed to succeed during college, Chicago. And from my college experience, it was great. I was happy that I was starting off in college, and it was a new experience for me. And one of the things that I remember when I went to college was sitting in my class, and I remember looking around, looking at my classmates, my students, and I realized that there weren't many people that looked like me, meaning I didn't see many Hispanics or Latinos in my class. So I thought this was different, coming from a school in the community that was mostly Hispanic or Latino. And so it wasn't necessarily a bad thing, it was just different. But nonetheless, I made new friends. I learned about different cultures and got exposed to different areas and communities in college. And I also started volunteering at a community clinic as a Spanish interpreter. And so this experience really confirmed that medicine was for me. As a physician, you have the opportunity to change lives, and in such a meaningful way. The patients get to open up to you, and you get to listen and do whatever you can in order to make the biggest difference. And you can make it through various means of communication, whether it's education, research, or policy. There's various ways that you can change lives in medicine. And so I knew this was a career path for me. In college, I also worked 20 hours a week in order to provide myself with rent money, in order to buy books, and provide myself with meals every night. Going to a private institution for college got really expensive for my parents, and so I knew I needed to work in order to help pay for my expenses. Having had to work throughout all 4 years of college and volunteering really helped me balance my schoolwork, my work activities, my extracurricular activities, and community service activities. And so I was really grateful that I was able to kind of balance everything throughout college. Nonetheless, there were also financial and academic obstacles that I needed to overcome. I remember my junior year of college, my father lost his job, and so we needed a different means to help pay for our tuition. And so I was heartbroken because I thought this was the end. I'm not going to graduate college. And so I thought I need to think up of different options. So I sought help. I found resources. I applied to as many scholarships as I could. And I asked help from our financial aid office in school. And there they listened. They were able to provide us with special loans in order to help pay for the tuition. So that was one of the obstacles I needed to overcome in college. In terms of academic obstacles, I remember the transition year between junior and senior year during that summer is when most students in the pre-health profession decide to take the medical college admissions test in order to apply to medical school. And so I thought, I want to be like my classmates. I want to take the exam and then apply to medical school after graduation. And so I did, not realizing that I had too many things on my plate. I sat for the exam and I didn't do very well. I didn't get the score I needed to be competitive enough to apply to medical school. So I decided to hold off on my application. But during that time, I found a different opportunity through Loyola Medical School. They had this summer enrichment program for students of underrepresented minority, and I was accepted into the summer program. There they exposed us to the rigors of medical school, and they also let us participate in community projects and events in order to limit healthcare disparities. During this small internship program, I also made resources and connections with the faculty at the school. I loved the school. I mean, the faculty and the medical students were very helpful, they were friendly, and they were happy. And I figured, this is where I want to go to medical school. This is the place I want to train me to become a competent, caring physician. And so, even though I needed take some time off before applying to medical school, I held on to my connections. And so I graduated. I had the opportunity to study abroad in Spain for the summer after graduation, and then I worked in a chiropractic office for 2 years. So during those 2 years, I signed up for a review course to take my exam again. And so I sat for my exam. I was prepared this time. I had balanced my work schedule and study schedule, and I thought, I'm going to do it this time. At the same time, I was setting up my application, getting things ready. I kept my resources from Loyola, and I was in contact with them to review my application. And so I sat for my exam, and I remember when I came home that night, I just cried because I knew I had failed it. I was just being hysterical, but my family, they're very supportive, and they just said to wait a month, see what your scores are, and then we'll talk about it later. So that's what I did. I just waited. When I got my scores back a month later, I just made the cutoff. I got the score I needed to be a competitive enough applicant for medical school. And so I submitted my application, and surprisingly, I got a few different interviews. I had the opportunity to interview at Loyola, and I thought, okay, this is it. I'm going to get in. It's going to be great. And I got into a few different medical schools as well, but I really just wanted to get into Loyola. Unfortunately, I found out I was waitlisted, and it was okay because I got into UIC, which is another great medical program. And I remember the day that I was supposed to decide which school I'm going to go to, I got a phone call from the Dean of Admissions at Loyola saying that I'm off the wait list and I finally have a spot there. And so that was one of the happiest moments of my life. Having overcome so many obstacles, I finally got to where I wanted to be. And so now I'm a third-year medical student at Loyola. Since then, I have been involved in various community activities, different student organizations. During my second year, I was the co-director of our peer-led medical Spanish program and got involved in a lot of curriculum development and student elective development as well. It's just one of my passions about it, having had that experience as a Spanish interpreter in a community clinic, wanted to enrich the program here and see what else we needed to do in order to provide patients, in order to bridge those language barriers with patients. In addition, I was also the president of the Latino Medical Student Association, LMSA, at the Loyola chapter. And going on into the Midwest area, I'm currently their policy chair. And so with LMSA, I found my little niche. I found where all the Latino and Hispanic students are. And every time we get together for conferences, it's just a great time. They get you hyped up, and they just really motivate you and to continue doing the best you can into medical school, and to also help going back to your old community and helping out those patients that you grew up wanting to help as a child. And so, and I've been involved with them for 3 years, and I'll continue to stay involved with them. I've found new mentors, new physicians that have helped me throughout my medical career so far. And so this fall, I'll be applying into an OB-GYN residency. I didn't know that I wanted to do OB-GYN until I did it during my third year. It was my second rotation, and I immediately fell in love with it as I was delivering my first baby, with the attending just talking me through it. It was just an amazing feeling, and I knew this is where I belong, this is where I want to be. Throughout LMSA, we do a lot of advocacy work. Primarily, we've been working with the DACA students and trying to create a guide so as to encourage all medical schools to accept DACA students into their programs as well. This is a group of talented students that just want to go to medical school. They're just like me and you. And so just because they don't have the correct documentation status doesn't mean that they shouldn't be allowed to go to medical school. And so I feel that as an OB-GYN, I'll continue to do that advocacy work for women at their most vulnerable moments. I'll continue again with my medical Spanish, seeing if I can create some sort of program at residency or with the other medical students if I decide to do an academic program. And I'll continue to stay involved, but I mean, there's nothing to say that you can't get into medical school just because of where you are, just because where you grew up from. It's completely doable. You just have to stay motivated, be persistent, and persevere. And so I encourage you to consider applying into some sort of medical career. It's a life-rewarding opportunity. It's a life-rewarding occupation. It doesn't feel like a job to me. It's something that I wake up every morning, look forward to doing. And so I hope that this talk has inspired you a little bit and that you consider applying to medical school in the future. Thank you.